Hare Krishna. So we have started off with Ishopanishad, which is the knowledge which is going to help us to become nearer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So it is this with this objective that we started off our journey, and we covered the introduction part, wherein we have understood how this knowledge is important, how we have got 4 defects, and so we need the Vedas, how Vedas are giving us universal axiomatic wisdom, how Vedic knowledge is superior to Pratyaksha Anuman knowledge, how they make us understand Krishna as the ultimate goal. Then in the overview, we see the invocation up to 3 shlokas that we are going to be completing today. The third shloka, it is going to teach us how to live in harmony with Ishvara. Then the next 3 shlokas will explain us how Ishvara can be understood by the spiritual vision. Then we'll understood about the right and the wrong Vidya, then right and wrong Upasana, and then we'll be making the prayers to the Ishvara so that he reveals himself. Om Purnamadha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is perfect and complete, and because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced from the complete whole is also complete in itself, because he is the complete whole. Even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. So what this invocation makes us understand is about the complete absolute truth. How material world is also complete, how human form offers the complete facility. Then we saw how sense gratification has been an illusory completeness, and how devotional service is the real completeness. And with this invocation, we understood how everything is Krishna's. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magruda kasyasvidadhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. One should therefore accept only those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota, and one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. And this was the peace formula. So here we understood the glories of the Vedic knowledge. We understood how Lord is proprietor of everything, how one's quota is there in nature, how even human possessions have a quota in earth, how there is a quota in human diets, and how we have to live according to the Ishavasya principle. So this is all what we covered. And what it means to live according to Ishavasya was that the origin of sin is disobedience to the laws of nature, because we disregard the proprietorship of the Lord. And as a result of that, we ruin this whole thing. So what it indirectly means is that we should know the laws of nature. We should not be influenced by unnecessary attachment or aversion, and recognize the Lord, and thus become eligible to go back to God. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So with this understanding, with this information, we moved on to the shloka number 2. And that is where Sakhi Shiromani Mataji has helped us to understand the essence of what the shloka was all about. So let us revise what Mataji covered yesterday before we move further. So she started off with the shloka recitation. Kurvan eveha karmani jiji vishesha chatam samaha evam tyavina anyatheto asti na karma lipyate nare. So what it means is, one may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for man. So Kurvan, that is doing continuously like this, eva, in this lifespan, iha, karmani, work. And what will we do? We'll desire to live. Jiji visheshata, for shatam, for 100 samaha, that is years. And even in spite of living this way, evam, if tvaya anyatha itaha asti, there is no alternative path from this. Why? Because na karma lipyate nare. And that is what is the law of karma, which Mataji explained to us. So basically, we understood how karma bandhana causes all the problems to all of us. It causes the death, most importantly. Why? It is human life form which offers liberation through Akarma. The Vedas lead ultimately to Akarma. Then we understand how we have to begin by bringing Krishna into the sense gratificatory life. Without Krishna, we'll find everything is vain. And so it concludes that we have to ensure that all altruisms become into karma yoga. So it's a fact that no one wants to die. While Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi is a fact. But still, everyone expects that there is not going to be any death for me. So everyone keeps on struggling collectively in the society. So the living being, because he is a part of Krishna, and Krishna is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, that is Sat and Chit, eternal. So even we are eternal by nature. But due to the bondage to the material existence, we have to change the body over and over. This process called transmigration of soul or karma bandhana is something which is bonding us. And this comes out of our work. Tatha dehantara praptihi. So it is important that we see, since we have a life, we have to work for livelihood. But that has to be as per the laws of nature. If we do not act according to prescribed duties, and we transgress the law of nature, then we make ourselves bound more and more to this issue, this difficulty. And that is what brings us about the karma bandhana. And as a result of that, what happens is that death is going to come. Death is for that body, not for the soul. Soul is eternal. So karma, vikarma, these facts which you have understood already in Bhagavad Gita, we have to understand them and we have to now practically get them implemented in life. So if we are doing our duties as prescribed in the scriptures, then that is karma. And if we are having any actions which will free one from cycle of birth and death, then that is akarma. And when we misuse this freedom and the actions result into a lower life form, then that is vikarma. So what is preferred is karma generally by intelligent men, but what is ideally to be done is akarma. And that is what is important. And this liberating work is described in Ishopanishad. And hence, we have to study Ishopanishad very carefully, very successfully, because that is something which is going to help us. And that also is something which has already come in Gita-Upanishad. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter from verse number 9 to 16. And so, Gita-Upanishad or Gita is called as the cream of all the Upanishads. Krishna tells us, Naishkarmya bhava Arjuna. Naishkarmya or Akarma, one and the same thing. That prescribe the duties, whatever are the prescribed duties, you execute them and regulate the working energy of human being. So we realize the authority of Krishna, and when we have realized Vasudev, we'll attain the stage of Jnana. And then automatically, whatever acts we do, we'll do for Krishna, and then that will be Naishkarmya, which will not bind us to the cycle of Janma Mrityu. Because this is what is expected. Otherwise, karma bandhana is only going to make us more and more difficult. And that is where all kinds of altruisms are making us only get into this cycle repeatedly. So if we continue to work for our sense enjoyment, it is useless. And when we try to extend this, showing that we are doing some social activity, we try to do this for society, nation, humanity, then we use the word communism, nationalism, humanitarianism, socialism, altruism. But they are all karmic bondages. So the Vedic instruction of Ishopanishad is that if you have to live above all these isms, and that is possible when we make everything God-centered. See, nowhere is Prabhupada ji, nowhere is Maharaj, nowhere are Shiksha Gurus, nowhere is the Vedic literature telling us that we cannot be Grihastha, family man. So there's no harm. But then, whatever we do, that is to be executed in relation to the God as the center of our activities. Ishavasya. That is what Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita 2.40. That God-centered activities are so valuable that even a few of them can save us from greatest of the dangers. And the biggest danger is rotating through these 84 lakh species. It's a defective senses which is making us impossible to see this problem. We are so engaged that we want to live for many years. And even if one of our known persons or one of our relatives leaves this body, we feel, okay, he has died, I am not going to die. Let me continue. But what is the use? Even a tree lives for hundreds of years. But what is the use? Even dogs, cats, hogs, camels, everyone is living. But they are always in this cycle. Hence, it is important that we overcome this thing. So, Prabhupada ji mentions that we have to execute all the activities with relation to Krishna and make it as Karma Yoga. That is what we found in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Because at least the guarantee, the protection from going down. So, and the best part of that is, even if they are unfinished, at least there is some reason. there will be a guarantee that we'll get a human form next life. And we'll have an opportunity to improve. And that is where how to execute these God-centered activities we understood in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. And so we have to study Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu as well as Ishopanishad. So we have to spiritualize the APARA dharma. Krishna has said we are not the body. In 14th shloka, Krishna says, tolerate, O Kaunteya, O Bharata. So we should not use bodily designations after stating that we are not the body. So let us not tell each other, oh, you are looking so good today. Or let us not pinch the false ego and massage them. Instead, let us tell them, oh, you have so nicely finished your shlokas today. Oh, how nicely you have finished your reading today. Let us pat it. Because karma, vikarma, karma, after understanding all that things, we have to ensure that we are away from karma, definitely not into vikarma, but concentrate to bring akarma into our activities. So sense gratification plus Krishna is going to be karma kanda, and altruism plus God is going to spiritual altruism. Kuruvan eva hi karmani jijivishesha shatam chamaha evam tvayena anyatheto asti na karma lipyate nare. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this way for a man. So this is what got covered in shloka number 2. And with this understanding in place, with this knowledge in place, we need to understand more about Ishavas. And that is where the shloka number 3 comes into picture, where we get to know more about how do we execute our life further. This is where, in fact, we'll know how we are killers. Huh? We are murderers. Huh? Yes. You, me, every one of us is a killer and a murderer. How? That is what we are understanding from the next shloka. That is shloka number 3. Let us see what Prabhupada has to say about it. Wherein it's clearly mentioned. Asurya namate loka andhena tamasha avrataha tamste pretyabhigachanti ye ke chatmahano janaha. The killer of the soul, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Asuryaha, that is meant for the Asuras. Nama, that is famous by the name. Te, those lokaha, planets. What are those lokas? They are andena tamashaha avrataha, covered by ignorance and by darkness. Tanate, those planets, they who? Pritya, when? That is after death. Abhigachanti, enter into who? Anyone. Ye, ke, everyone. And what are they? Atmana, the killers of the soul. So, Atmahana Janaha, the killer of the soul persons, whoever he may be, must enter into the planets known as the worlds of the faithless, full of darkness and ignorance. Little shocking, but this is what is there in this shloka. So these 6 paragraphs, we understand who is a demon, who is a soul killer. Then para 3 to 6, we'll understand the importance of liberating the soul, not killing it. Wherein in para 3, we actually understand that if we don't use the facilities of human life form and we live, then we live worse than the animals in this life and go to hell in next. And even if failure in liberating soul, still the results are good. And if we succeed, then what are the benefits? Then para 5, Prabhupada talks about how modern politicians are demons. And then in para 6, it gives us the solution of solving all the problems. So this is where the whole importance of this shloka rises. So let us start by one by one. So human life is distinguished from animal life. Why? Because it has got a very big responsibility. The responsibility that we have this intellect, and that intellect is for understanding who am I? Why am I here? What is my eternal position? And how do I achieve my eternal position? Who, why, whom, and how. These are heavy responsibilities. So when we say responsibilities, it is not, okay, I have got a kid, I have got a parents, I have got a boss, I have got a duty. No. The real responsibilities are about your own identity. So if you are cognizant of these responsibilities and still we don't act, then we'll be asuras. But if we understand these responsibilities and work with that objective, then we are suras. So ideally, there are only these two types of people. And that is what Prabhupada starts the whole discussion with. How Rigveda has also explained this. In universe, how there are only two types of humans or two types of living beings. So Rigveda says that suras always aim at lotus feet of Supreme Lord Vishnu, and so their ways are illuminated as the path of the sun. While the asuras, they are self-centered, they don't understand anything. And that is where they make the mistake of their life. So intelligent human beings must always remember that we get this human form in an evolutionary process after so many transmigrations. So we sometimes hear Bhavasagara. So this body is a boat and this whole material world is an ocean. So the Vedic scriptures and acharyas, they are the expert boatmen. And the facilities which the human body is getting are the breeze that will help this boat to tide away on this Bhavasagara to the rightful destination. And if with all these facilities, we don't utilize the life for self-realization, then we are Atmaha. That is killer of the soul. So Sri Ishopanishad warns in clear terms that the killer of the soul is destined to enter into the darkest regions of ignorance, to suffer perpetually. And we have all suffered before coming here right now on this platform. And that is why we have been Atmaha. We have been murderers. We have been killers. And if we don't understand today, then again we are going to be a murderer. Again we are going to be a killer. So the choice is ours, whether we want to continue to be Atmaha or we want to take this opportunity and ensure that we no longer become a killer of the soul. Understand the Ishavasya principle. Get back to God. Because you have got this opportunity. You have got this human life form. And you have got so many facilities in this human life form that no one else has got. So if you don't utilize this facility today, then when are we going to grow it? So it is important. And that is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also orders us, Jare dekho tare kaho Krishna Upadesh. We have got the Krishna Upadesh. Someone was merciful on us. Some devotee, some bhakta. And if you don't continue this, then again we are going to be Atmaha. So that is why if you see the attendance sheet, it always asks you how many new people you have explained today, the Krishna principle. It is expected that every day you speak about Krishna to at least one new person. Whether it takes up, it does not take up, it will depend on his karmas. But at least you have done a sukruti. And so When you write in that attendance sheet, yes, I spoke to one person today, it gives you that satisfaction that, yes, you have done something for Ishavasya. And that is why you will find that small change in the attendance sheet, which has happened since couple of weeks when we started understanding about Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which was something which was asked to be understood by us in the second shloka also. Because how to realize Ishavasya is something which is going to come out of them. And that is something which is making our life valuable, this human life form. Otherwise, there are swines, dogs, camels, cats, asses, cockroaches, COVID-19 viruses. But are they what we are? No. They have not got those facilities which we have got. So we have to use the human life. It is more important, more valuable than animal. And why is a man given a better life than that of the other animals? Why is he placed high? Just because he is important. It's like a government servant getting better facilities. A IAS officer, a collector, having more facilities than a chaprasi or a peon in the office, because he has to perform higher duties. So similarly, we humans are expected to perform higher duties. We have got higher qualifications, higher responsibilities. But if you continue to approach as a polished animal without interest in self-realization, and with only expectation that how do I fill my stomach and allow it to come out with obesity, and not think about others, then we are cheating. We are being a thief. We are being a killer. We are being a murderer. Human life is valuable, and we have to use it very, very carefully. We are given this life not to work hard like donkeys, but to achieve the highest perfection of life. And if you do not care for this self-realization, then the laws of nature are going to force us to ensure that we go down. So let us not do hard work. Let us be smart. Even the modern MBA courses, they talk about smart work and not hard work. So why not about our own life? Let's be smart in our life. Let's not work like asses. Because if we fail to discharge our duty as a human being, we'll have to transmigrate to the Asura planets and take birth in degraded species of life. And they will face only ignorance and darkness. See, if you read Bhagavad Gita, that's where Prabhupada ji comes to, especially the 6th chapter. It is clearly stated that the moment we start the journey, even if we don't complete it, and if you have been sincere to understand our relationship with Lord, then God is so merciful. He'll give us one more opportunity to complete our inquiry. So either you'll get in a family of Shuchi or Srimat. Shuchi means spiritually advanced like Brahmanas, and Srimat means Vaishya, that is rich family or mercantile family. So that we have an opportunity to complete our journey, to complete our killing of the ignorance. And so it is important that we take this very, very seriously. Simply attempting to realize God, we are guaranteed a human birth. Maybe immediately or maybe after a few days. Like we have the story of Jad Bharat, Bharat Maharaj, who understood the importance of life, but somehow or the other at the last moment, unfortunately, he got attached to the deer and had to take next birth as a deer. But he remembered, Lord was merciful. So he did tapasya even as a deer, and next birth he again got as a human being. And that time he lived just like a ignorant person, as a fool. And we know the story further, how he was going with the palanquin of the king, and just to ensure that the ants are not killed by his feet, he was wobbling. King understood. He inquired, and that is the moment that Bharat Maharaj, as a Jada Bharat, spoke the whole knowledge. So he has got the opportunity. We will also get opportunity either now or later. But Krishna says, yes, you will definitely get an opportunity. So even if you fail today, you will have an opportunity to be successful later. So why be asuras? Because just material prosperity is of no use at all. Bhagavad Gita has clearly rebuked such people. They are atma sambhavita. That is, maybe they will consider them great because of their strength of deception. But such asuras, such people who are devoid of self-realization and knowledge of Ishavasya are definitely going to go into the darkest regions. So it is important for us that we don't get into such situation, because that is not what our role is. Our role is to be sure that what we do is in relationship with Ishavasya, Krishna. And that is what this whole third shloka was. Kurvan eva iha karmani jijivisheta shatam samaha evam tvayena anyathe ito asti the karma lipyate nare. One may aspire to live for hundreds of years if he continuously goes on working in that way. For that sort of work will not bind him to the law of karma. There is no alternative to this for a man. And that is why it is important that we take this opportunity very, very seriously. We don't know when we'll get this opportunity again in life. We don't know if we will ever get also. And so it becomes all the more important for us that we ensure that we do not lose this opportunity at all. So we have understood how asura is a mentality than a species. And 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita has already given us the description of the demoniac nature. We have understood who is an Atmaha. So it's a figurative expression. But what is important is the Mukhya Vritti, that is Abhida Vritti or Gauna Vritti, Lakshana Vritti. Real life killing of soul is what happens. That we'll be covering in the Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto as well. And we have to avoid it. So we have to keep on reading. We have to be in continuous touch with the literatures. So Madhvacharya ji gives us the 3 levels of reading: the literal, the ethical, and the metaphorical. So literal are the events which are described, which happened historically. The ethical, which serve as the moral benchmark to guide us in our today's decision making. And metaphorical, the events which symbolize truths relevant to seekers on the spiritual path. And that is what we have to be working upon. See, going into literal readings is done, but metaphorical should always supplement, not supplant the literal reading. Because literal reading, if it is leading to obvious absurdities, it is useless. Like we say, his house is on the river. So what does it mean? Is there a river and the house is floating on the river? No. What it means is the house is on the bank of the river. So that is where the metaphorical is important. See, scientific advancements that we see nowadays, they're changing the form, but they are not changing the purpose of activities. So, like animals, earlier they used to go search here and there for garbage, and now because humans have created garbage piles, they will be going there and working and feeling themselves happy there. And similarly, humans may be having their tongue satisfied with processed packaged food. Animals may mate in the middle of the street, but humans may cultivate fantasies. So scientific advancement is not the solution. Animals may sleep on street. We may require soft bed, air-conditioned room. But humans are definitely going to suffer more than animals. See, we have not seen animals dying of starvation because of shortages which are created by their species. Animals don't have insomnia, animals don't have heartbreaks. But we humans are suffering from all these. Animals don't have stresses because of loneliness or overwork. They don't fall prey to addictions. They don't commit suicide. Humans are doing all these things because they are abusing the higher intelligence. The human being is given this for getting relief from existence of material miseries. But because of our ignorance, we think that our higher consciousness is for advancing in material comforts. And so we are misusing it just like an animal propensities instead of spiritual realization. And so it is important that we overcome these difficulties. We understand this clearly, efficiently. Otherwise, we are going to be Atmaha, killer of the soul.